Many have been asking me to do a video on how Twitter makes a difference in my business and my success on the web. Hi, I'm Guy Siverson. I am the co-founder of Viral TNT, along with my wife Irene. And I'd like to answer exactly that at this time. Just seeing if I can get a better light situation going on here. That looks a little bit better. So, basically there are three components. If you dial it in even more than that, but three main components to creating a great Twitter presentation. Number one is the profile. Get back to that in a moment. Number two is the follower base. And we'll also get back to that in a moment. I'd say the very biggest part of making sure that you're getting all you can possibly get out of Twitter is engagement. Now, within engagement, there are some key strategies that make your life a whole lot better. You see, a lot of people, when they do engagement, I had one person doing this today, they just start liking and retweeting everything and whatnot. Like, retweet. Must have been 50 items they liked and retweeted. Which is good, because that got me to performing the same activity back for them. But here's the question. Do you want people to like and retweet you, or do you want them to be talking to you? My hope is that talking or engagement far exceeds the liking and retweeting. Not that it's not important. So how do you get people to engage with you in a way that will cause them to want to engage, will cause them to want to, get that communication going? Here's how. Become a part of their world. Yes, I am aware that you, if you're on Twitter for business, need to do business. So do I. Yes, I am aware that if your business doesn't convert viewers to buyers, you lose. I'm aware of all that. But your audience should not think that that is your main focus. Instead, look at their tweets. Ask them engaging questions. Do engaging activities that get them commenting back to you, engaging with you. It is so critical that takes place. And if it doesn't, then the result is you lose. When people think that you are out there specifically and only for sales, that whole relational dimension gets lost. Now, there are things you can do to even further enhance your communication. Here's a couple tricks I use. Here's one. how many people follow people on Twitter or suggest follow Friday or, follow this person. It almost has become a banner blindness kind of concept where there's so much following going on that people don't pay attention to it. What if you don't follow instead? Here's how this works. It takes a little bit more effort, but gets a whole lot more recognition. See, what I'll do is I'll put the word don't follow, their username, then I'll look at their profile. And within their profile, I will create a communication structure that is the antithesis of their profile. So for example, let's say they are avid bakers of apple pie, and that's very clear according to their profile that apple pie is what they are all about. So I'll write something like, don't follow their username if you hate apple pie. Now, along with that, what I'll also do is I'll find some key hashtags. Preferably the hashtag relates both to them as well as to the brand that I'm building. So those hashtags will end up going out and being indexed in Twitter, further promoting them in a reverse sort of way that will gain recognition and momentum, because people will see that word don't, which I capitalize, and they'll be, what's this don't? Wait, oh, this is a follow. It's just dressed up differently. The more original you can be within Twitter, the better it can be for you. So then the next piece that I recommend, along with for engagement, I recommend using a tool called TweetDeck. It's absolutely free, and you can, or at least I'm not sure if there's a paid account to TweetDeck. I use their free version. It works just fine for me. But you can set up columns so that when people mention you, you're there, you've got the information, it's all cool and good. Other tool that I would use as far as the hashtag part is Hashtagify. It gives you the ability to see hashtags that are perhaps the ones you should go after. Now, I don't always use that. I believe that getting the content out and into the Twitter sphere is sometimes, not always, sometimes more important than making sure you're using the right hashtag. Now, there are major exceptions to what I just said. Now, the next piece that I'm going to recommend would be about followers. But before I do, if you do your engagement correctly, you will find that there are people who are going to follow you simply because of how you engaged. With that understood, you might not even need to worry about follow unfollow. Now, I've got nearly 26,000 people that are following me now. And I want to make sure that my audience stays active, interested, engaged. And so I will do some maintenance with my follows, which means unfollowing, as well as do targeted hashtag follows and industry experts. To make all of that happen, I use a tool called Manage Flitter. This is the first paid tool. Actually, I think it might be the only paid tool that I'm going to recommend during this video. You don't need to spend a lot of money in order to market on Twitter. There's no need for it. If you take time to build your audience correctly, the synergy will take care of itself. But Manage Flitter does give you the ability to really hone in on what you do and do not want to follow, and grow your audience accordingly. Last April, I think it was, maybe May or June, I had 5,000 followers on Twitter. Today, I've got in the neighborhood of 26,000 and growing. I owe a lot of that growth to Manage Flitter. Manage Flitter will walk you quite easily and smoothly through the entire process of finding out who you should follow and who you should unfollow. And they've got a lot of good tools with them. Make sure that you take a look at their power mode for following. It's going to be very helpful for you. All right, so we've talked about the engagement aspect, and we've talked about following. Now, I didn't spend a whole lot of time on following because I really think Manage Flitter does a good job of educating their audience on how to use their tool. But again, even if you don't choose to use a tool to supercharge your following, if you do your engagement correctly, it won't matter. Now, another reason I do use Manage Flitter before I go to point 3, another reason I do use Manage Flitter is it gives me the ability to follow in mass. Now, you want to be careful with that because Twitter does have limits. One of the biggest ones to keep in mind is you can only follow like 1,000 people a day. And when you're first getting started, you may find that they don't even allow you to do that, but it's more like 100 to 300. If that's your experience, then, just live with it. Realize your account's new. Just continue to work on it. Now, whether you're new or old to Twitter, social network's only been around since 2007. Can you really be old? But whether you've been around for a while or not, you'll find that sometimes Twitter flags you and it looks like your account has been locked out. This is Twitter's little way of checking and making sure that that you're really involved in the process and it's just not all bot driven. They don't want it to be all bot driven. I don't blame them. They want real human beings on their network. So that's important. Now so that takes care of the follower concept. Now the final area, and perhaps I should have started with this area, but the final area I'd like to mention here is that of your profile. I look at profiles all the time because of the way that I am doing my Twitter strategy. All the time. It doesn't make sense not to. What I find, some of the problems I find that people do is they only write maybe a little bit, if anything, in their profile. That's your 160 character ability to let people know who you are. If you're not writing into that, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You want to use as many of those 160 characters as possible, and consider using emote icons in the process. If you Google Twitter emote icon directory, you'll find all sorts of different emote icons that you can use. It makes your profile fun and more enjoyable, and people pay attention to that. Now, along with that, you got the profile at 160 characters. You're considering the usage of emote icons. Do not use hashtags within your profile. I know I talked about hashtags within the communication structure and getting that engagement, but here's why you don't want them in the profile itself. If you put a hashtag, which is a £, in your profile, and somebody clicks on that hashtag, guess where they're taken? They're taken away from you and into the directory for all of the people that are doing that hashtag. In other words, you've invited them to leave your sphere of influence. That's not likely to gain a lot of traction for you long term. Now, I'm seeing less and less people doing that hashtag thing today than what they did in the past, but just avoid the hashtag in your profile. Use it in exchange, in communication, yes, not your profile. All right. So another thing I see people doing wrong when it comes to their Twitter profile that only has 160 characters is they'll use such words as if, that, the, all these filler words. Sometimes they're necessary in order to make the flow right, but not to the point that I see some people do. So you want to make sure you avoid as many of those profile fillers as possible. Instead of having the profile filler, what you want to have within your Twitter profile is high quality words that directly lead people to exactly who you are, letting them know who you are, what you're about, why they should care. Now, we've talked about many profile areas and whatnot. I'd like to cover one more thing that people miss when it comes to their profile. That's the hyperlink. Yes, Twitter gives you the ability in a little box to put your hyperlink right there. But did you know you can also put it in your profile directly, that 160 characters? And I recommend that you do. Because when you do, you've got a link there and a link there. You've got 2 links that people can see when they come visiting you. That extra linkage and whatnot has the potential possibility of leading people to where you want them to go. They could click that link on its own link box, but if they miss that, they get the profile. Or if they miss the profile, they get that. You're giving yourself double opportunity of reaching your audience in a way that you want to be reaching them. So, again, we've covered communication, critical. We've covered the follow aspect, equally important. Let me touch one other point on why this is important. Let's say that you're looking at me as somebody you might want to hire as a coach. I don't know, because I'm a Twitter coach. I'm a digital marketing coach. Let's say that you are trying to check me out. If I've got 5 followers on Twitter versus 26,000 followers on Twitter, without looking at anything else, which one catches your eye more, 5 or 26,000? Now, if those 5 happen to be, the President of the United States, Billy Graham, some kind of huge following concept, then that's one thing. But if they're just 5 random people versus 26,000 followers, the 26,000 wins, hands down. That's one reason you want to make sure that you grow your following. Now, along with that, the third item that I covered was various aspects on how to really supercharge your profile. Along with that, make sure that you create a banner image that really fits to your message. Without that banner image, your whole branding concept, which should be resonated within the profile itself, fails. So, those are some key strategies on how to grow and work with Twitter. What have I left out? What questions do you have? Feel free to leave them in the comments below, either on my YouTube channel here or on Twitter. And let's help each other grow. That's what I'm about. It's what you should be about. Your success. I'm Guy Siverson with Viral Team. I also help you succeed by doing what's called interview videos. Doesn't cost a dime, where you will be able to share your thoughts, your views, your philosophies within a video format that I then publish to my 26K followers on Twitter. If you'd like to know more about that, feel free to comment. Feel free to get in touch with me. One of the best ways to do that is to mention me directly on Twitter, Viral Team, VIRAL TNT, like dynamite, EAM. Mention me. Let me know you're interested. As long as you're appealing to the business community, those who are wanting to build a business of their own, I'll talk to you. I'll interview. And I'll make sure that you reach the raging success you desire and deserve. Till next time, take care.